Hi, how you doing? I wanted to do a quick review of the Pioneer FHX-720 Bluetooth tuned-in. Tuned-in because obviously it's a bigger type of head unit there than your standard single-din type unit. It's really nice radio, really like it, and that's why I decided I'd do a video on it. Right off the bat, you got your CD player up here, obviously your functionality for your radio, up down button for your functionality in the menus, mix, that's the mix tracks button, which you see here featured, your phone, to make a call or turn off the calls. You got a display button here, turns it off, turns it on. Obviously, that's optional. It'll go off automatically if you have it installed correctly with your car. Here's your source button for obviously all your different sources, your band, search, and a back button here, your arrows for your CD, your multi-function button, basically volume, whatnot. Here's my USB jack, which I use that a lot, so I'll get into that in a minute. Got a little door on it there for you, and your 3.5mm headphone jack is right there. So if you want to connect that up to your phone or whatever, you can do that. I also have the Bluetooth mic. I set it up right over here, and I did that just for my own personal reasons. Obviously, there's enough wire that I've got stored back behind this area, but I can mount it up on my visor, which is one spot they recommend, but they want it right in line of sight of your voice, and that works perfectly for me, so I'm very happy with that. This is an '01 Honda Accord. Install was very easy. I've done this many times. If you've never done it before, I suggest researching it. It's very easy to do. No reason to hire somebody. Wiring up an amp is very easy. I also run a Rockford Fosgate 250.2 punch. It's 2005 amp, still runs strong. Includes a nifty little bass boost knob, which mine's kind of beat to hell because it's from '05, but it works great. It allows me to run my sub bass independently versus without having to tear up my in-car speakers, which I have two in the dash, two little tweeters in the dash. The doors have, I forget what they are, but there's two in the doors, and then 6x9s back in the rear deck. And obviously this bass boost knob I highly recommend because, being able to manage the bass through the sub independently is a huge bonus. Now, obviously I'm playing a rap song here. Turn that sucker up and it's obviously going to start pumping out bass. You can turn it down if you don't want to hear too much bass, so whatever you prefer. It's obviously a nice feature, but that's not why we're here. So turn that down for a minute and turn this off so I can show you what happens in the initial setup. Initially, when you turn this on, you're going to have a demo come up. You just turn that off, but you got your system settings here and the initial settings. System's got your info display, which obviously has a few different functions in here, which you can play around with depending on what you enjoy. Your auxiliary, turning that on for your 3.5mm jack. Bluetooth memory clear if you want to clear out anybody's phone that shouldn't be in your Bluetooth memory, your version. App connection setting here, you got your Bluetooth or wired depending on what your preference is. Clock setup, basic stuff. And then you got your initial setup, which only has a few things. This is important. You're going to want to do this if you have a sub or even if you don't have a sub. Depending on what you're doing, by default, it's going to be set up without you using a sub. But if you are using a sub, this is how you turn it on. Whatever this is supposed to mean, who knows? But just know that that's where it is. Go in here. For me, it's rear speakers, meaning I have two rear deck speakers that are running off of the radio, and then I have my RCAs plugging in my amp to run my sub. You could do, if you're running, two, sub off the radio and off of an amp, and then if you're just running speakers and a sub off of, if you're just running speakers, this is what you would use. But for me, it is this one. So leave that there. Update for your Bluetooth app functionality, reset the system. Basic stuff. You get more functions when you actually turn this on. So when you have the radio on, I have mine set up to USB. What I really like about this thing is, obviously I'm on this particular track. If I pull this USB port out and then stick it back in, the radio remembers exactly where I left off, which I think is a really cool feature. And for me, I like to be able to put many folders of different bands on the USB port. But please note, you could put up put as many folders on the USB as you want, but as soon as you stick a folder inside of one of your main folders, you will lose functionality with the radio. The radio won't read it for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that's just obviously how it's designed. So, just keep your main folders, but don't create subfolders for the album because it won't read that. So, that's one thing to know. But what's cool is it's got these up-down arrows here, which I just figured this out the other day. I didn't even try it before. But basically, it'll let you go through whatever folders you set up. Call it whatever you want. Name of the bands here is what I use. Then within each folder, obviously, you start at the beginning, have various tracks. You could go back to the previous folder, which is, I believe, Jay-Z again. So, it's pretty cool that it has that in there, and I really do like the fact that that's there, because if you got a couple thousand songs on a USB port like I do, you want to be able to have them accessible. One thing I want to point out is this bezel that's missing around here. That's me. I have to get a mounting unit and place the bezel around there. It's not a high priority for me because obviously I don't really care, but I'll get it at some point. But yeah, the radio won't come with that. Make sure you get a mounting kit even if you do have a 2-din. Otherwise, you're going to have a gap sitting there. So here's some other functions here that it's got. This is that mix track option, which basically creates some sort of like light show, and it'll blend in songs, which it'll take like a minute of each song, grab it from a section, blend it into the next one. See, hopefully you could hear that okay, but it just blends a portion from one to the other. So, I mean, it's kind of cool. And then there's different functionality for this little disco theme it's got here, so you can change that around however you prefer. I don't use that kind of stuff. Pause button, obviously self-explanatory. Random songs, which I use this a lot, so, it's cool when you just want to hear random, whatever. And then your repeat button is over here, so let's see what comes on next. See, it just skips around. It'll go through any of the folders, so it works out pretty well. What else do we got here? So within this option here, you've got multitude of options now. Here's all the menu options for the mix track features, functions, audio, which I'm going to hit right now. You got an EQ. It's got a 5-band EQ, which is really nice. I have my custom 2 set up for when I'm playing it loud. I have my custom 1 for when I'm playing it a little quieter. Typically, though, I just stick with custom 2. Within that, you'll find, you got all these different scales, and it ranges from +6 to -6. I keep this one here at 5. But yeah, cycling through, matter pushing a button, doing the knob, it all basically works right here, and also with the back button. I should point out that there is a remote with this radio, which is actually really nice. It comes in handy, with the calling and volume control, but, it's up to you if you use that or not. What else we got in here? So here's all your different presets, the flat. I don't know why anybody would possibly want to use one of these, but teach their own. Then you got your loudness. So right now my sub is off. When we did the initial setup, I turned that function off. So by default, it's saying my sub is off, even though I changed that setting. You still have to go in and change your sub. Right now it's set to off for the low frequency, so you're going to want to definitely hit the button. Now here's, you see normal and REV for reverse. This is your phase. So for me, I have to set mine up on reverse. I'm running a bridged mono system. It's all positive, negative lined up correctly, but for whatever reason, this phase is needing to be on reverse. But that gives me better sound, and obviously having that option there is a total benefit because I get great sound with it set up like that. Next option here is the frequency setting. Now it goes from 50 up to 200. And you'll definitely notice the difference because, it's letting all those highs through versus the lows. My Polk sub can handle 50. I like it on 80 just because I prefer to get some of those higher sounds coming through, more of the mid-range stuff. your slope, and then obviously your frequency settings there. But bass boost, I don't use this. Keep in mind that's gonna mess with the bass on all your speakers, whereas my remote bass only controls my sub. So I don't use this. I don't recommend it to anybody for any reason possibly. So you can blow your speakers, but whatever. Your high output frequency, I keep this off because I'm not letting the highs come through. I don't need that. It takes away from the lows, which I just keep that off. So SLA, I have no idea what that's supposed to stand for, but I do know what it does is it controls the master volume for everything. I keep it at +4, keeps it consistent for me. That way I don't have to turn it up to 100 or something like that. But, you know, just if that's something you want to turn down lower, you can do that. It's up to you. And there's your fader, your balance, basic stuff. If you don't know how to use fade and balance, then you got issues. What else we got? Let's go to the source. Pandora comes built in. I don't use it. Connection failed because obviously I don't have that app even on my phone. App, here's where, you know, having a Bluetooth app, it's trying to connect right now to the Bluetooth app of the any apps that you have set up on your phone, whether that's Last.fm or whatever. It'll vary depending on what you're trying to use, but should basically work. I don't have anything set up for that. So auxiliary, again, for your 3.5 millimeter if you're connecting up your phone or whatever through your radio. Next one is Bluetooth audio, which obviously it's connected. There's my Asus. It's a Zenfone 2. I have the 4 gigs of memory on there. So that's a really nice phone. If you get an opportunity to pick this thing up, please do so. It's an unlocked phone, works with AT&T, Sprint, and basically anybody out there who's using the GSM network. So won't work with Verizon or with Sprint. I'm sorry, I think I said Sprint, but won't work with Verizon or Sprint. Will work with T-Mobile or AT&T. I actually use Cricket, and we have coverage everywhere because they're using the AT&T network, so it's perfect. But yeah, it's connected right now. It's not pulling any data from the phone, obviously, because I'm doing a video. But there you see it is connected. Radio, obviously, if you don't know how to use a radio, stop the video, go get a hammer and hit yourself in the head because you're an idiot. So, and then we're back. Now it's got you saw the iPod flash on there, and I'll do that one more time. The radio has built-in iPhone support. So whatever apps the iPhone has that allow users to get more out of there, like maybe iTunes or whatever, it's built to work with it. I don't have that. I have an Android device, so I don't get those functionalities. But yeah, overall a really good radio, and that's a basic rundown. Within here you'll find your illumination settings, brightness, all that good stuff. Like I said before, your system functions. There's really not much else to say about the radio other than it's an excellent sounding radio. Again, my 15-year-old speakers in this car are pumping with this thing, so that's a credit to Honda and also a credit to the radio that's making things sound great. But very pleased with it. Hopefully you got something out of this video, and hopefully you can go out and pick this thing up because it's definitely worth the money. For $100, you can't go wrong. It's a great head unit. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments or whatever, and let me know, and I'll see if I can't respond. But good luck to you. Hopefully you got something out of it. Thanks for watching.